All right, it's 3 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. Today is July 30th. This is our regular scheduled meeting for the Hutchinson Utilities Commission. Before we go any further, agenda item 1 is conflicts of interest by any of the commissioners today.
None.
All right, hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 2, which is the consent agenda to approve the minutes and ratify the payment of bills. Anybody have anything to pull out of that today?
Maybe not. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Don, second by Tom. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Item 3 is to approve the financial statements.
The electric had a net profit that increased by $166,000. A large chunk of the reason is we just generated a lot. You can see we had $911,000 in market sales. That's probably the highest I've put down in a month in a long time, maybe ever actually. The only other thing would be, you see the operating expenses are higher. That also goes along with generating more. We had to repair a few things, so stuff came out of inventory. Also, there was a couple tests Mike had done on a few other, I think 2 or 3 of the engines. So that's why the operating expenses are much higher. Gas was very similar to last year, so nothing new there. That's all I have.
Yeah, the only couple things I mentioned, just kind of touch on the operating expenses. The other big chunk of that was the repair of the HDI substation. Was in it. That was $140,000 that we had. That you guys approved, I think, a month or 2 ago. So that's over half of that, and then the rest is what Jared talked about. Was just added additional inventory coming out for the engines, and we had that RATA testing or emissions testing for Unit 5. We had to redo that because it didn't pass the first time. So, but those are kind of a few things. And obviously, with the market sales going up, we actually added $328,000 to the rate stabilization fund on the electric side. Most of you guys are typically familiar. Usually this time of year, we're pulling money out of that, but we've been adding to it because we've been having a lot of market sales. So if you look at the balance sheet, we're almost at the max of the rate stabilization fund threshold on the electric side at $1.2 million. So if we have another, and we've been running a lot here in July as well, if we have another similar month like that, we may hit that cap, which means that puts us in a position for credits on the electric side going into the fall, which we haven't had.
I would say 10 years at least since we gave credits on the electric.
Since I've been here, I was going to say, yeah. So we've been running a lot of generation, and again, these assets have been proving, that they've been very valuable, particularly in our case, not just for capacity, but market prices have been steady. They've been high. Natural gas prices have been fairly low still. Usually you see that linear correlation with higher market prices means there's higher natural gas prices, but they've kind of delineated themselves a little bit. So we've been running a lot of generation. It helps hedging against our own cost of power, but then also we can make profits and pushing power in the market. So the best of both worlds, for sure for this month. Hopefully July will be pretty good, and we had a good month in April. So, on the gas side, really nothing significantly out of the ordinary. Things are trending pretty consistent on that side. We are up a little bit month over month, and year to date we're up. So we've been trending ahead of last year pretty consistently through the first 2 quarters of the year. So we'll see what the fall and winter brings, but we're up on that side as well. So when you pull out really the reimbursements that we received on the Heartland Corn project from last year, which was about $750,000, if you take that reimbursement timing out, we're outpacing last year's P&L statement on the gas side too. So when you look at both sides, we're in a good position. Right now, again, year to date, if you pull out the Heartland Corn, we'd be at about a $500,000 per offer. We're at about $1.5 million. So we're definitely outpacing things, and consumption has kind of trickled back up to what I'd say are getting close to the 5-year norms. Again, the last couple of years we've had dips on both consumption on both sides, so we're seeing a little bit better turnaround from a weather pattern and usage standpoint. So hopefully those trends continue. Otherwise, on the investment report, we touched a little bit on it. Over the last couple of months, a lot of the investments that have been coming in, we've been pushing into the money market. So when you look at the money market on both sides, you can see those balances growing. Wells Fargo, we're at over $1 million in the money market, just under 4% interest. We do have another bond coming due tomorrow. That's another $500,000. So I've told him just to put that in the money market for now until we see how our cash flow is going. Obviously, if the Feds change some things and it dips the money market, then we may, pull money out of the money market, move it into a 2 or 3 month CD or 4 month and get some better yield. But right now the yield on the Wells Fargo is pretty high, so we've been just leaving it there to make sure we have liquidity if we need to with some bigger bills coming up in the fall. So, but otherwise the investments are tracking fairly well based on where the yields and things are at. So, any questions on any of the financials or anything that you guys had questions on?
I did not.
No, that looks really solid to me.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we gave a big credit back on the gas side this month, over $2 in MCF, so
Mhm.
it's a significant. The volumes aren't as high, but that's a big credit relative to the price of what we're charging retail rates. So those are all good things for the customer.
Yep, fantastic. Would you care to make a motion to approve the financial
I'll make a
statements?
motion to approve the financial statements.
I'll second.
Motion by Kathy, second by Troy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Financial statements are approved. Agenda item 4 is the open forum. I don't see any new guests today, so we'll move on to 5, communication. City Administrator and Matt is also not here today, so we'll move into divisions, starting with Dan.
Similar to last month, a lot of generation and not a lot of progress in Hutchinson, unfortunately, with the weather continuing. But we've been generating all month, just as Jeremy and Jared mentioned. I think every day of the month we've generated something. Should be similar to June. Profit margins won't be as high. Prices in June are really up there, but it's still pretty good. It's probably, we're generating for about 4 cents a kWh and selling it for 8. So still pretty decent. But yeah, every day we've been generating.
Good. Dave?
Nothing new for me to report.
Haven't really new either.
Just been doing a lot of installing of new services and making a lot of repairs to our equipment. You guys have been doing a good job of working in the heat. I've been dealing with the last couple of weeks. We'll be discussing it here in a bit. We've been reviewing a lot of the policies and procedures and making some changes to those. So it's been busy.
All right, thank you. Item 5C, Human Resources. Angie?
Like Byron said, working on some policies and some miscellaneous things, different projects. I'm gonna start working on some record retention things, so.
All right, thank you. 5D is legal. Mark, anything today?
Nothing today.
Thank you. Back to you, Jeremy.
Just a couple things going on. I did send you guys a business update, just touching on a few of those things. So we did get back kind of the review from the attorney that we hired from Washington, D.C. that specializes in those prepaid deals. So I've been starting to read through that. It's about an 18-page kind of review process they did. So we'll be working through those and talking with all the counterparties, MCE, JP Morgan Chase, on some of the comments and concerns, maybe of just how some of those documents are worded, and then some intricacies with this new prepaid deal that wasn't in the last one. So we're going to be working through those over the next several weeks as we have a chance to review those things. So that is continually moving forward. They're still anticipating trying to wrap it up. The documents, I've got the draft documents that would come in front of the board. I haven't had a chance to review those, so hopefully I can review those and review the comments from the attorney that reviewed the agreement, and hopefully we'll have everything ready by August. If not, it would be a September timeframe, depending on how many concerns or how many things need to be, tweaked or changed in the agreements between all the counterparties. So I'll be working through that over the next few weeks. We did get the energy contracts back on the data center customer. I had sent them out to Dave and Dan as well to kind of review those things, and Mark, and also our energy attorney, Caleb Brennan, just to kind of review those things. I think they're getting real close. Energy contract, there was just a couple question marks on that, more of just their review of looking at making sure that they know some of the pieces of them there, that they can fulfill those things with third-party vendor, things of that nature. So Kayla's going to look at that. I know probably Mark hasn't had a chance to look at it. Kayla's going to look at it hopefully by end of this week, early next week, on that piece. But nothing I would say real significant of major things. So I think we're continually moving forward. I'm hoping by August I'll have things in front of you for consideration on that. I also did hear that they're going through the city's planning and zoning process to get a conditional use permit. They're going to move through that route now, and they're scheduled to have a hearing on August 19th. Really the big piece there is they need to at least get a conditional use permit in place and get our energy contract in place so they can secure the land. so that, they don't run into concerns about losing that and not having a place to do things. So, but that process is moving forward. On that, we have scheduled a meeting with New Ulm on August 27th. So Byron and I are going to meet with Chris and Dave O'Brien are going to come up and do some introductions and then start having some preliminary discussions about the capacity transportation contract. So we'll start doing that here over the next month, start having some preliminary conversations about that. Now that they've had a chance to look at it a little bit. So that piece will be moving forward as well. And then we did hear back from the union that they agreed to our language that was proposed to them. So I know Angie's going to follow up with the parties just to make sure that we're getting either a memo of understanding or some documentation that's agreed upon by both parties added to the current contract that's in place. So we'll be working through that piece too, and hopefully get that added so that we have that stuff in place for the January 1st, 2026 new threshold that are going in place. And I think you're still looking into getting
A third party
quote, and if we can provide that service at a better rate than the state's program. So we'll keep you updated if something materializes there. So those are the kind of things going on.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy. Agenda item 6A, looks like we just have a couple to review, and 6B, looks like we have one change to make.
Yep, and I'll turn that over to Byron.
So one of the policies or procedures we reviewed was the natural gas service requirements and charges. As we were going through this, we kind of noticed that maybe our fees weren't quite where they should be. So as you can see in the red is what we're proposing to change the fees to. And then at the bottom of that proposal, we added some language. What's happening is we're having a lot of homeowners putting in sheds, fences, porches, and they're calling us, asking us to move the gas line so they can build. And we don't have anything in writing that says if they want us to move it, they have to pay for the removal or the change. So that is written in this as well. That's what the writing is in red. It's basically just them signing saying they give us permission to move it, and then they will pay the fees. If you want a little bit of background, Jeremy and I put some information together. Owatonna charges $900 for 70 feet. Austin charges $750 for 150 feet, and New Ulm is about $600 for 150 feet. So our current cost right now to put in 150 feet, new meter, new pipe, all that stuff is about $563, and that's no labor, that's just parts, material. So you can see at the 300, we're definitely losing money. At 600, we'll just cover our material costs. So if anybody has any questions on that or where we came up with the numbers.
I don't think this dollar amount's been changed since I've been here, so it's been that same amount for at least 11 years. So we knew we were kind of behind on charging appropriate material costs for people wanting relocation. So I did talk with Dave too to make sure that on the electric side we're good on that side, and we still are. We haven't seen the escalated costs that we've seen on the gas side with materials and meter bars and things of that nature. So.
Well, with stuff like this, when we do those installs or those moves, it still costs us money.
Correct.
We're just covering materials. How come we don't charge the actual amount?
When we do the initial installation work, we're recovering those costs through our rates, our retail rates.
Okay.
So the monthly charge that we charge is supposed to cover the minimum system requirements, which is putting in the meter and the service to begin with. So this would be, if you ask us to move that stuff and redo your services, because the agreed upon place that we said that you were going to put the stuff you want it now changed because you're adding a porch or something, that cost should be on them. But the initial installation of services is always covered by our retail rates. So some utilities don't do it that way. Some make the homeowners, a new homeowner, they pay for the installation of their services. Some utilities say, hey, we'll put the service in and we'll just make sure we're recovering it over time on our rates. We've chosen over the years to put the services in and then cover it incrementally over the years. I think the last time I costed it out, this was before we started migrating our meter or our minimum customer charge up. It usually took us about 12 to 15 years to recover the initial installation. So what we've done over the years as we've kind of realigned our rates is we've tried capturing that initial infrastructure cost a little bit quicker by increasing the monthly charge on our energy rates. So we've been kind of getting more in line with that. But So that's typically what we've decided, our board decided is, hey, well, we don't want to make the homeowner put the additional investment, and we'll do that, and we'll cover it over time through the rates, is how we do it, so.
So this is residential only. So is there a policy regarding commercial?
It's actually
It's all in there,
all in there, yep, it's
Yeah.
residential, commercial,
multifamily,
industrial.
depending on the size of the service.
So with the size of the service being the same with single-family and multifamily, commercial, industrial, wide pricing difference?
We just kind of went with what some of our sister towns have been doing and kind of compared the numbers. The pricing is pretty much fair as far as material costs and stuff, so we didn't change it. It's not, obviously it's not equal, but the pricing is according to the parts we're using, so.
Right, that'd be the big thing, between like the multifamily commercial, between those two, it's the size of the service. So a 3/4 inch service versus a 2-inch service, the materials are more expensive for a larger service.
Right, I meant the single-family and multifamily. You get less distance, cost more, same service size.
Assuming the it's
Oh.
it's a two services at a multifamily service.
Well,
right?
multifamily is usually an apartment building, so then we're putting in bigger
Yeah,
units, putting more
right.
meters than just one. For the single family.
Is that what you're saying?
Okay, so there's more connections.
Right, so
in each of those.
right, so multifamily could be a townhome where there's 2 services, it could be a fourplex where it's 4 services,
Okay.
right.
So they're not equal then?
It's not
right?
No.
Correct, yes, sorry.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any follow-up questions? Are we good?
I'll make a motion to approve the policy change to the natural gas service requirements.
Motion by Don, second by Tom. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Aye.
Any opposed? Changes are approved. Agenda item 7, unfinished business. We have none, so we'll move on to agenda item 8A is to readopt the Data Practices Act and Public Records Request Policy. And that's Mark.
Thanks. As most of you know, this is something that we do every year. The state of Minnesota requires all public entities to adopt a policy concerning data that they hold prior to August 1st of every year. There aren't any changes from last year, but in a nutshell, it tells people what data the utility might have available, what's public, what's not public, who they can contact to get it, what the charges might be, what format we can give it to them in, what deadlines we need to abide by to get them the data. And that's really it. As I said, it's something required by the state, and it's a really good tool for both the requester and the utility, so everyone knows what needs to be done when someone does request data and what to expect as far as fulfilling those requests. So I'd ask that you adopt it.
Are there many requests for the data? Does that come up?
We don't get as many up here as I know we did down at the city when I was down
Okay,
there.
I was just curious.
Yeah, no, it's not too often that we get data. We get some data as far as customer requests, as far as billing stuff, but some of the stuff's private data, so we can't provide that stuff anyway. But we very rarely get data requests up here.
All right, thank you, Mark.
I'll make a motion to readopt the data practices policies of the Hutchinson Utilities Commission.
no second.
Motion by Kathy, second by Troy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 8A is approved. 8B is to approve the Hutchinson Substation Circuit Breaker Change Order Number 2. Looks like Dan.
Yeah, we have a contract with Border States to supply circuit breakers for the Hutch South project, and they issued this change order to increase the cost because of tariffs. We went into this contract last March before all the tariff stuff happened, and that's since happened, and now they're passing those costs on to us. And it is in the contract, they are able to adjust prices for things like, such as tariffs, which is one of the items they can adjust for. But there was a 6-7% based on the overall cost was the increase amount, the $54,000.
And those costs would still be recoverable.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Right.
All right, anybody care to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve change order number 2 to Border States Electric for tariff price increase.
I'll second.
Motion by Troy, second by Tom. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? 8B is approved. Item 8C is to approve requisition 010174, which is the electric meter testing equipment. That is Dave.
Yeah, we have, we're looking to replace our meter tester, which is from 1992. It's pretty much aged itself out of usefulness. It's just not compatible real well with our software.
Mhm.
Continue to keep that up. We did look at a few different manufacturers. We're looking for more of a portable option now where we can do it on site, a little mobile option. It's just a little more user friendly. And we did looked at different manufacturers and we settled on ProQuell. There's the one vendor that represents them, and that's the quote we have. And I did include the brochure from them so you can see what we're talking about. So we're looking for the approval to order that meter tester.
Any questions? Seems pretty straightforward.
I'll make a motion to approve requisition 10174.
Motion by Kathy,
I'll second.
second by Troy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 8C is approved. Agenda item 8D is to approve the Wilmer HUC line multi-party joint coordination agreement. That's Dan.
Yeah, long title for kind of a short document, but it's basically kind of the kickoff agreement for our Wilmer Line project. Basically explaining what it is, the need for it, all the components between us and Wilmer that need to be replaced or added, and then who's responsible for each of those pieces. So that's basically kind of the kickoff, saying if you agree with this, you are committing to the project. And then they can go forward with their certificate of needs, permits, things like that to the state, and it shows that we all are part of this project. The one small cost is for the permitting. GRE is estimating about $1.5 million for those costs. And so then we all of the parties have to pay their allocated share. It's based on line length, and we're a pretty small chunk of that, 4%. So it's around $61,000 is what they're estimating at this time as far as just the permitting costs. There'll be additional agreements as we go along, interconnect agreements, construction agreements, operation and maintenance agreements as the project evolves. But this is kind of the kickoff agreement, just say, yep, we're on board with this project. And that's us, SIMPA, Great River Energy, of course, and Litchfield. They all have different, all four of us have to build substations, and then GRE is building a line, and then, of course, we'll own a small segment of that.
Sounds good to me. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to enter into the MPJC agreement for the Wilmer HUC line rebuild.
I'll second.
Motion by Don, second by Kathy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 8D is approved. Item 8E is to approve requisition 010324, the Crow River Crossing Project. Byron.
The popular topic.
Yeah.
So we did finally get some bids. You can see on here, NPL gave us a bid of $213,933. That is up a little bit from what they originally said. I think speculation numbers last fall. Of course, tariffs, labor costs, all that stuff has gone up, and we added a little bit of work to their job scope. So that's the reason for the increase there. You're probably gonna fall out of your chair when you read the next one. It's $745,000. The issue with this kind of job is we're boring a river, and so a lot of those companies bore the Mississippi River, the Missouri River, big jobs, big equipment, big companies, and they sub out a lot of their jobs, and that's why this came in pretty high. We couldn't even find anybody else. I did call Michael's Pipeline, and they're just like, we don't have any time to get this done for you. We can't even give you a bid. So it is kind of a specialized job, but it's not big enough to get, well, we can get the big companies, so it's gonna cost a lot more. So that's why the difference in the big prices there. We did, we believe we have a date set in September. once the requisition is approved, to start doing the work, so we will get it done before this fall. And there's some maps there included, if anybody has any questions on that. We've been over it quite a bit. And I do have some good news. As of today at 2 o'clock, we have approved permits from the state. So
Congrats.
we're ready to go. So I guess I'm asking for approval of requisition 10-324 for $213,933.65.
Is that about where you thought it'd come in at?
Yeah, I thought it would be a little less than 200, but considering we did add, so they're gonna bore from Highway 7. Originally, the question was to bore the river. And now we've added boring from Highway 7 to the park, crossing the Loose Line Trail, going across School Road, and then the river. So it's added a little bit to their job scope.
Was there a reason that that's the path that was gonna take? Because it seems like there's a lot of extra stuff happening.
It's actually the easiest for us as far as easements.
Oh, okay.
And we're adding, if you can see on the map there, we're adding a little stub in on there so that we can do some expansion probably later on, coming from across Highway 15 and tying in, so. So that's the reason.
Yeah, we originally were talking about the east side of the river because it was the closest, but then we would have had to get private easements and things. And we'd had to negotiate those types of things where moving to the west side was all easements that the city owned, and so it was easier for us to move further.
Makes
Because
sense.
the other concern that we thought we originally were gonna have was on the west side. The banks were a little bit steeper than on the east side, so we thought the east side would be better just from a boring aspect, but then it was gonna getting up on the property owners by the lift station over there, and so as they kind of reran the numbers and re-looked at the elevation of that bank, they thought that wasn't gonna be a problem when they looked at it, so we thought it'd just be cleanest to stay in all the city's easements, that way all of our infrastructure is within there, we don't have to deal with private easements, or if we have to have future things done to that new main down the road, because it's gonna be connected to our regular station, we would already be within city-owned easements, so it just creates a lot less potential headaches down the road if we have to do those things. And I believe we're keeping the piping, we're gonna abandon the pipe on the bridge, we're gonna keep that there for now. We did talk to the city a while back, if there's any particular reason why they need us to get that off at some point, if they remodel the bridge or they do something different, we can take it off at that time, but it's gonna be just gonna be abandoned pipe, that's just gonna hang there for now, unless we need to.
So we'll purge it out with air, and then while Dan's shut, cap it.
How long does it take for them to bore all of this?
We're hoping less than a week.
Is there any unforeseen additional costs? Like if they start boring, are they gonna run into anything we are unaware of? I mean, that's a loaded question, but I mean.
It is, and it's part of the reason why the bid went up a little bit.
Yeah.
Is they're saying, when we bore the river, there could be big concrete chunks down there that we're gonna have to go around or through, or,
Okay.
so there are some
So
costs.
they've padded that cost.
Correct.
Okay, that was my main.
That's,
Yep. Okay.
Old cars.
You never know down there.
No kidding.
Definitely bicycles.
Yeah, the bicycles.
They'll be
deep do they go?
considerably underneath the river, like.
yes, so our proposed plan, as you can see in the drawings, is 15 feet below the bottom of the
Yeah.
river. So the state permit kind of requires us to stick to that number. They said we can deviate, if we get there and there's a big rock or concrete thing where we can go up over it and then back, but obviously we don't want to be in the water either, because then people can hook onto it or hit it or whatever, so.
What is the lifespan of that?
It is fascinating.
Yeah.
How they do
Hopefully
that.
longer than all of us are here.
Okay.
It's, I think the pipe is 100 here.
Yeah, it's in that range, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and this will be plastic, so it's not gonna go
Oh.
around, so.
No.
It's forever since water.
And we originally talked about this project, it wasn't, we didn't put it in the budget this year, but we had plenty of CapEx in there, we didn't do anything with this, before Byron got here, so this was kind of rose to the top of the priority, so just wanted to make sure I reminded you guys that we saved room in the capital for this project, so even though it wasn't budgeted, so.
I'll make a motion to approve requisition 10324.
A second.
Motion by Tom, second by Troy, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 8E is approved. Agenda item 8F, just to approve requisition 010325, the removal of district regulating station number 3. Back to you, Byron.
Yeah, so this regulating station is number 3. It's been blocked in for about 9 months, so it hasn't been in service, and we haven't seen any fluctuation at all in the line pressure. The reason for this change or removal is the valve upstream of it, it's an underground valve, has been leaking and continues to leak. We grease it and we keep going out checking it, and it's leaking, we grease it, check it. So it either needs to be removed, replaced, or we could just remove the whole VRS station, which would get rid of a lot of regulations, maintenance on the regulators above ground, painting. If you look at the pictures, you can see in your packet, it's in somebody's backyard. It is next to a ton of electrical boxes, so it is gonna be a good feat to get that out of there. And that's the reason for the cost. We're gonna have to use a vac truck for the whole thing. They're gonna have to put a box in there. They are gonna go down, cut the valve out, weld in a piece of pipe, 2 pipe stops and a piece of pipe, and then this whole station mess will be gone. We did price in, if we just dug it up, put a new valve in, the cost was $21,000. I have it here somewhere. Yeah, $21,400 for a new valve, all the equipment. And again, that's no labor, that's just rental of equipment and tools and parts. And so we feel we can just remove the VRS station and get rid of that equipment, so.
Is that our shed sitting there?
It's not.
That looks bad.
It's, the contractor has agreed to put the shingles back up when he's done. Just like put them on the shed, not patch them, so.
So what was there first, the house or our regulation station?
I'm gonna guess the station, but I have no idea.
That's a good question. I don't, not sure either.
Interesting choice. Location.
I'm guessing they're gonna be happy it's gone.
I think so too, yes.
Yeah, it's
So-
not very attractive.
The shed or the station?
Anybody care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve 10325.
I'll second.
Motion by Troy, second by Tom. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Agenda item 8F is approved. And that brings us to agenda item number 9, is to adjourn. Anybody care to make a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Troy,
Thanks.
second by Kathy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Also fast.
We are adjourned. Thanks,
Guys are
everyone.
Sleeping on that one.